Hello, bass family, and welcome to Everything Bass. Wow, the most common request or question I get asked since launching this channel has been people have just even privately reached out to me and said, man, I just can't get motivated to practice. I just don't feel like picking up the bass today. Um, and I listen. I'm not an ivory tower. I have those feelings too. And I've been playing over 30 years, and there's been seasons when I just have been unmotivated to play. But because my livelihood requires me to play and stay on top of my game and develop new skills, that's not an option. So I started looking into it years ago, and I started finding things that help me stay motivated, get out of ruts, and actually some of these ideas I included in a book I published in the late 80s, or actually early 90s, called Creative Explorations. And so I'm going to share some of those with you, and hopefully they will help you get beyond this. Also, even though I always address my bass family, because this is actually non-specific to the bass, I welcome anyone. Share this with your drummer friends, guitarist friends, if you're part of a band. Maybe these ideas will help you guys get out of ruts and stay motivated. All right, so I have 10 suggestions for you, so let's go through them top to bottom. So the first one, change your environment. So change your environment. A lot of us have like a practice area. Maybe it's a room we can get by ourselves or a corner of a room, and it has a tendency, if you're like me, that it becomes really like, I don't want to sit here, because the environment is stagnant. The environment's been the same way. There's two ways you can change it. One is just clean it. I mean, I look over, because I shoot my videos there, but I actually practice just over there. And I'm looking there, and there's a mess of papers. It seems to be the catch-all for anything I just feel like stacking there. So I'm probably just going to, as soon as I'm done recording for the day, clean it up. So that's just by cleaning up. Vacuum, clean up. That's sometimes enough to kind of make it feel new. Straighten up, reduce the amount of clutter that's in the area. Try to keep it focused to what you're really studying. So if you have a lot of music books there, just cull out the couple ones you want to focus on, put the others in maybe in another part of the house. But so cleaning is one way of changing environment, but actually really changing your environment. I'm lucky enough, like I have one practice area, but I can also set up and practice in my office. So I could move the amps up there, move things around. If you don't have that luxury, you're stuck to maybe you're practicing in your bedroom, move your bedroom around. Move the bed to another wall, move the dressing around. Of course, if you're a young person, ask your parents' permission first. And just physically change things. If you have certain posters on the wall, maybe cycle and put different posters up. Maybe take them all down. Little things like that can change your environment and makes it more welcoming to just be there every day and practice. So that's the first easy step, change your environment. So number two, detail your bass. Now what I mean by that is just take a moment, and maybe you can actually sacrifice a practice day for just taking your bass, put new strings on it, polish the frets, really clean it up, get out some Q-tips and get all the dust that kind of gathers. Oh, I'm embarrassed. My pickups have dust on them like crazy. Wipe it down, put fresh batteries in, really just give it a good cleaning. If you have multiple basses, maybe do it with a bunch of those. I find that sometimes when a fresh set of strings, kind of freshening up the bass, making it look like the day I bought it, just gets me vibed and gets me into then I want to play it, which means I want to practice. So that's a pretty simple one. Just clean up your bass. All right, number three, find new music to listen to. This goes hand in hand with input. Our output as a musician is dictated by our input. So if we're only listening to certain style of music, we haven't found any new bands or any new genres to listen to. That's our input. So we're getting one source of input, which is great, but after a while, that can be mundane. Your output is based on your input. So if we're specifically listening or considering what music you listen to, just try something new. And what's great about it in this day and age of technology is you can go on these streaming services and just randomly pop in a genre you've never listened to. Polka. Put in polka and listen and try to find something that is interesting or that catches your ear. I love two things I really get into when I'm trying to find new inspirations. Soundtracks. Just could look at movie soundtracks and just listen to them. I have soundtracks on CD because I'll just buy one off a movie I enjoyed and just listen to them because they're not constrained by commercial music kind of guidelines of like, you got a verse chorus, you got to do this, you got to do this, you can't have a solo this long. There's no restrictions. And soundtracks are created to support visuals, so they're have a tendency to be very they create moods, and so I like to listen to those, and those give me new ideas, even though they're not at all into the style that I'm writing at the time. Just getting some new input helps. The other thing that I like to listen to is world music. I like to find folk music from different cultures. I really got into Japanese music for a long time, listening to their structures. There's a phase when I went through a lot of different African music to get different rhythms, and there's a lot of great rhythms in like Scottish folk music and things like that. So sometimes just finding some new music, putting on some headphones, really listening to it will get you juiced to want to pick up the bass and play again. There'll be new ideas, and you don't have to go that extreme. Sometimes just having someone tell you about a new bass player that they've heard and you check them out, sometimes that's enough to get you excited to go. All right, number 4. Read musician biographies or interviews. This is big for me, and I understand not everyone's this way, but I would say one of the biggest things that keeps me going is, and this was from the early days of just picking up Guitar Player magazine, because there was no bass player magazine, and I would just read it from the first page to the last page, and reading these stories about these musicians who, what they did to become successful and how they, were able to attain such great things. And goals and life moments, if you will, it kind of fired me up because first of all, it tells you how similar we are. You hopefully can relate. Oh yeah, I've been there and I practiced and stuff, and kind of hearing what they do just would always get me excited. Now fast forward, music biographies. There's a ton of them out there, and luckily, because people know I'm a musician, a lot of the gifts I get are great biographies and autobiographies from musicians. So I read them all, and they surely will make me inspired to play. If you're just not into reading, maybe you even have dyslexia or something that makes reading just not really fun. Luckily, YouTube and Netflix, there's a lot of music biographies that you can just watch. So I put that in the same category. So I guess if I had to give it a theme, it's like studying those who've come before you sometimes can put fuel in your tank so that you can keep attacking and trying. At least for me, and hopefully for you too. All right, next one, watch live concerts. Now, maybe you just can't afford, I can't, to afford to go to concerts every weekend, but you can watch on the aforementioned sites, Netflix, YouTube. You can watch live concerts or at least songs performed live. I say live because the visual of actually seeing the performers play really gets me going. I think all of us who are musicians really yearn for that opportunity to take the stage and play. And sometimes seeing someone else do it just kind of fuels it. I first felt this. It's very interesting. I was in a rut when I first started playing bass. I hadn't even gotten to Musicians Institute yet. And one of my, some of my great friends were in a touring top 40 band, and they came through my town exactly at the time that I was in a real big rut. But I went to see them that night because they're my friends, and they crushed it. Scott Corey, Mick Nantel, Steve Sorrell, you guys crushed it. And I just remember just leaving there going, I want to play. And that fed me for weeks. I mean, I probably made some of the biggest advances in my abilities because I went and saw my friends play. But just watching live. I collect live concerts on DVD, and I watch them over and over again. And there's just so much great inspiration there that it sometimes gets me out of my rut, gets my butt in this chair, and gets me practicing. Explore new areas of study. So this, I do this all the time. And but it takes an open mind, because I know that some people, they're saying, no, all I'm going to play is this style of music. I'm not interested in reading. I'm not interested in other styles of music. I'm just going to do this. And I respect that if you're single-minded focused there. All I'm saying is when sometimes you're that single-minded about one thing and focused, which again, I commend you on. That's great to be focused. But because again, your input is limited, sometimes that just you just run out of new ideas. So to get new ideas, to get inspired, pick a new area of study. I like going into different, as I said before, world music. I like studying different Latin music, different cultures, music. I'll buy music books that focus on those things. Sometimes it's like I remember buying a book on four-finger fretting or plucking technique. Just because, okay, I don't do that. So, and I bought the book and went through the exercises. Some of it stuck, some of it didn't. Obviously I need to work on it more. But that's the idea. And luckily, you need to leave your house. You can, a couple things. You can go on to like Amazon or any of these great music book companies or music stores that have music books. Go on their websites and see if there's anything that's just off. Sometimes I'll just buy, because I can read music, I'll buy sheet music from classical composers and I'll just spend some time reading, and sure enough, there's inspiration there. It gets me focused, gets me new input, which is important. And these videos, and I'm not just my channel, not just Everything Bass, but there's a lot of bass channels out there. Find one that's teaching a subject you don't know, or maybe introducing you to an artist you don't know, and watch it and see if that gets you kind of a little more fired to sit down and practice. So next, write new music. That's so important. Even if you say, but I'm not a writer, I don't write songs. I like other guys to write songs. You're writing songs not for anyone else's consumption but yourself. I've written songs that no one else will ever hear. They're songs very personal to me, dealing with very trying or traumatic times in my life, but they're just for me. When I start writing, I'm externalizing things I know. I've learned things and I'm actually putting it out. Now, the nice benefit is sometimes because of the creative process of writing new music, it will create a new idea, and you're like, oh, I've never thought of that before, and that's cool in its own right. If the overall idea of writing an entire song is just daunting for you, I'm speaking to bass players right now, is just write a groove. Just write a bass line. Just think about it like, I want to write something new. And if you have a hard time starting, because sometimes when you just do that, it's like looking at the blank piece of paper and not knowing where to start. Put a limitation. Say like, I'm going to write a new bass line using D Dorian, that scale. Or I'm going to use a bass line, or I'm going to write a new bass line, but I'm only going to use the E and the A string. Sometimes that little bit of a limitation gives you like the first idea. And once you get the first idea, they all start falling. But writing gets you kind of excited, because writing music is a lot of times the end goal of our study anyway. We're studying to become better composers and better improvisational players. And so when you can write, it kind of shows you the result of all that hard work. And so you're like, yeah, all right, I feel good, So I do, again, this one might be a little more niche, but I hope you don't just disregard it offhand. I hope you maybe try it. Just this afternoon, try to write a new bass line, or if you're a drummer, try to come up with a new drum pattern and limit what percussive items you can use and what cymbals you can use. Don't give yourself the entire kit. Just use a couple and say, what interesting thing could I do with this one cymbal, this one tom, and the kick drum? What could I do? Those limitations, and then creating, sometimes gives you fuel to really keep practicing and learning. Obviously, this one's a no-brainer, but taking private lessons. Over the decades I've taught privately, it's amazing the players who come to me who are established players. You would not think that they would take lessons, and when they reach out to me, and my first response is, you want to take lessons from me? What they're looking for is new input, new ideas, things that'll get them out of rut, things that make them excited to practice again. And it's a cool challenge as an instructor to give them that. But yeah, I think whether you can take private lessons or just, as I mentioned before, there's my channel, there's a bunch of YouTube channels with different bass teachers. Find one that you resonate with and sign up. And again, if you're not a bass player, you're watching this because you're stuck in a rut and you're a saxophone player, you're a harmonica player, you're a keyboard player, whatever it is, there's a lot of resources. Take private lessons in person, which I think are the best. Even though I have a YouTube channel, the private lessons in person are the best way. They're just more intimate. They're more, the give and take between the student and the teacher is much more exciting. But if that's not an option, then seek out channels like this. And if you're a bass player, I hope you try mine. What I would recommend if you do that is, become a Patreon monthly subscriber. It's just $8 a month. So for like $8, you could literally take a bass lesson every day. And then go on and look at the posts, download the sheet music, download the WAV files, and get in and tackle them. Maybe pick a series that I've done and just tackle it and see if, understand the intervals. Just do all those and download the sheet music and really dig into it. And I think you'll find that sometimes that kind of private lessons will get you out of the hump, will get you excited. It all comes down to new input. Maybe I'm giving you new input you hadn't considered before, and that gets you over a plateau, and then you get excited and you're off to the races. Okay, organize a jam session. And now, right away, I can tell maybe some of you go, "Oh, I'm not good enough to jam," and I can't say that. I can't say you are, but I'm saying that usually you can find other players at the same level as you, or other player, one guy. A jam can be two people playing, and just invite someone over and start working things out. And if you're new to the instrument, maybe you can only play very limited technique and stuff. But sometimes the bass line can be just two notes, but see what the other player does, to that. But sometimes getting together and having that live music experience is enough of excitement that it holds over to the next time that you've got your practice time. You're going, "Oh, I need to practice. Yeah, you know what? I want it because I want to be better next time I get together and jam." They always told us when I was at Musicians Institute, when you form a band, the best way to not procrastinate and not to drag out that first band, forming, writing songs, creating a show, is book a gig, because now you've got this deadline. So I say the same thing, get a jam session together, because chances are you're going to practice going up to that jam session. You're going to warm up and try to come up with new ideas, and then maybe the jam session, the other guy says or girl says, "Hey, I want to play this song by so and so then you have to sit down and practice that. So that gets you in your chair practicing, because you're prepared for this event, this jam session. I love it. I love jamming with friends, and so hopefully that will also kind of fuel you. My last suggestion for today sounds funny and is not available to everybody. It's currently not available to me because of my budget. But in the past, when I've been in a real rut, new gear. If you can buy new gear. Now, new gear doesn't mean buy necessarily a whole new amp or a whole new bass. But buying a new effect pedal, buying anything that's new music gear. I remember I even bought you can't see, but I have a pedal board down here. And when I got my new tuner, I bought a chromatic tuner and plugged in. It kind of jazzed me up because I was like, wow, this is great, and I got this, and all of a sudden I was practicing. I love pedals. I collect pedals, so yeah, a lot of times. Especially if I look at Craigslist or Facebook Marketplace, and I see someone selling a pedal for just no money at all. Maybe it's a pedal I don't even know about. I'll buy it for very little money, come in and plug it in and just see and sometimes that just gets me new ideas and I get excited. So again, I put this last because currently right now, my daughter's going to be going to college. I can't really buy in good faith new gear. But in the past, when I have bought new gear, boy, it's just gotten me excited to play. Especially, like I said, effects pedals are easy because they're usually a relatively small investment. And when you mix them with your existing pedals, it brings everything to life new. So there, try that out. A looper, buy a looper. That really gets you practicing, because all of a sudden now you're not just you playing by yourself. You can set up bass lines, you can set up chords to play over. That's so exciting. For drummers, I've seen drummers just fall in love with the instrument again because they get a new pedal, a new kick pedal, or they'll get a new cymbal, and then that you can just see the life is in their face again. So sometimes getting a new tool will inspire you to build, and so consider that. So there's 10 ideas that hopefully can help motivate you to practice. Some cost no money at all, and some cost a little money. But hopefully out of those 10 ideas, you'll get something that can hopefully get you over the kind of boring, or I just don't want to do it. It's just try these things. Please try them, because I've regretted looking back and regretted the long periods of time where I was not motivated to practice. I didn't grow as a player. I stepped away from the instrument for a while. I regret that because it set me back to where I'm at today. So yeah, try to grasp every day as an opportunity to get better at your instrument. And if you're having a hard time doing it, go through these 10 items and put it to the test, man. See if you can't use these suggestions to get that fire burning in you to practice your instrument and breathe new life into your music, which is awesome. Hey, thanks for stopping by. I really appreciate you guys doing this. If you have the inclination, please throw a like on this video. If you're new to the channel and want to subscribe, just hit the little subscribe button. That doesn't cost anything. Hit the little bell icon next to it, and that'll notify you when I post videos. If you're not a bass player, but you like the style of this video and you want to check everything else out, please subscribe to the channel. I'd love to cross-pollinate and help you too. Of course, in the comments below, what are your suggestions? What do you do when you just absolutely are burnt out? I did pose this question months ago on our Facebook group, and a lot of people said, I just take a hike. I just get out in nature. And it's amazing how many people from different parts of the country said, oh, I just, to get inspired to practice again, I just get away from it. And that's definitely absolutely viable. That kind of goes to maybe changing your environment. But instead of your practice environment, change your life environment. Go to a new place, try a new restaurant, go on a new hike, and then come back and see if you have more energy to practice. All right, guys, thank you so much for spending this time with me. I really appreciate it, and I look forward to seeing you at my next video.